So here we can see the baseline data from week 2. We had some pretty wild numbers for some of these cases, especially when it came to our more inexperienced players. But in general, players complained about the accuracy of the guns, so weird timing issues and delays, and the general insufficient damage that the rifle was putting out. So my hypothesis for week 2 was that increasing enemy HP while also increasing weapon damage will bring both weapons into the required TTK ranges, and of course increasing those at different scales to help adjust for that. I also had a second thought that limiting the projectile lifespan would help reduce the excessive TTK outliers. Um, so as we look at the change, as we can see, the pistol damage is set to 60, the fire rate to 1, although I found it more comfortable to use burst mode set for a single burst at a half-second interval. That prevented the player from spamming the mouse click as fast as they could, and also kept the pistol from turning into a fully automatic weapon. I kept the magazine size at 8, but I also reduced the aim offset to 300 to give the pistol a shorter range. And in combination with that, I used a quarter-second lifespan for the projectile. That helped the TTK issue where the projectile would fly off screen, hit an unseen enemy, and result in these really long TTK outliers. I also implemented the audio cue for both the pistol and the rifle and made sure that the hit marker actually shows in the reticle now. As for the stats for the rifle, damage is at 30, fire rate is at 0.2, and the magazine size I halved to 16. Burst interval still set at 0.5 as well. And I introduced a weapon spread for the burst so that each projectile is slightly off from the previous, and that's operated by a random float. For the enemies, I set their health to 200 for the fodder and 375 for the elites to give a difference in feel and also provide a lot of wiggle room for adjusting between the two. Knockback I adjusted per weapon, but I made sure that if the enemy, or rather if the player, hit with all projectiles from the burst of the rifle, it would add up to the same knockback of the pistol. So again, it kind of feels different, but mathematically it balances out the same way. So 300 and 100 for the fodder, 60 and 20 for the elite, the idea being they can take the shot and sort of shrug it off a little bit. I also reduced the vertical knockback to half of the horizontal so that enemies weren't just jumping into the air every time they got shot, they went more to the rear. I also changed the movement speed. Elites now move significantly faster and pose a bigger challenge to the player. All in all, we did see the TTKs fall into the average ranges where we wanted for both weapons. Neither weapon really took the lead in terms of being preferred. It did interestingly switch from 3 pistol to 3 rifle preferences, but they are still, again, kind of even as far as that goes. Players were much happier with the aiming and with the damage after the tweaks. So here we have videos showing elite and fodder enemies being killed with a pistol. And this video shows both enemies being killed by the rifle. So in the end, I did hit the TTK targets, although some of them could have been better. I was right on the cusp, especially for the rifle. The testers, again, were split between the two weapons, so neither one seems to have taken a big preference. Players who like precision and relying on their own skills seem to prefer the pistol, whereas players who just wanted to sort of run through everything and get through it quickly tend to prefer the rifle. So for the next steps, I would adjust the rifle damage up a little bit. Again, the TTK ranges were right on the edge of the high end of the range. And I would also introduce some additional enemy behavior. I didn't really dig into that for this week, but adjusting that could also introduce some more interesting counterplay.